I often say that curiosity is the antidote to fear.
These weren't people who'd gone looking for answers about back pain. They were people without back pain.
Recovery didn't just give me more movement, it gave me more life. It gave me back. Hi everyone and welcome. MoreGoodDays acknowledges the traditional custodians of country across Australia and their deep, ongoing connection to land, waters, culture and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Whatever brought you here today, whether you've lived with back pain for many years or if it's something quite recent, we're really glad that you've shown up to watch this. My name's Mandy. I'm a lived experience and mindfulness recovery coach here at MoreGoodDays, which is just a fancy way of saying I've lived this, I get it. I've had 2 spinal surgeries. I've lived with chronic back pain for a really long time. So when we talk today about how confusing, exhausting and frightening back pain can be, I'm talking from my own experience. And I'm here with someone else who lives and breathes this stuff and is very passionate and working deep within it. Hi, Kelly.
Thanks, Mandy. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly. I am a physiotherapist and the clinical lead at MoreGoodDays. I've spent years working with people living with chronic back pain, and in just the past 6 months, I've overseen the support we've provided to more than 400 people on their recovery journey. I also bring my own lived experience. I used to have chronic back pain, and while I'm now relatively pain-free, I live with chronic health conditions. So that means pain lives here. Some days are easier than others, depending on what's going on in my life. So I genuinely live and breathe the same principles we talk about with our clients every day. So like Mandy, this is deeply personal for me.
Yeah, and both of us know back pain can be confusing. So for the next 40 minutes, we're going to explore what modern pain science tells us about back pain and why understanding this can be a door that opens to recovery. Our goal is to provide more clarity, more confidence, and practical strategies that you can start using right away. Before we dive in, it's important we call out something about the session's title. With the National Pain Week theme of Pain Lives Here, we're talking about pain living in the myths. But that word myth, it can be loaded for some people. So we want to start by saying 3 important things we feel pretty strongly about. Firstly, pain is always real. When we talk about pain today and myths, we're not saying pain is imagined or exaggerated or all in your head. Back pain is very real and the suffering is real. Secondly, pain is complex and it's individual. There's no one size fits all or cookie cutter approach. Everyone's experience is shaped by their own biology, background, and circumstances. And lastly, pain is not your fault. For many years, I was doing the best I could with the information I had, and I'm speaking to you today from having lived through that and recovered from chronic back pain, and so also coming at you with the benefit of hindsight. Anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
Yeah, I think the other thing I'd add is just to have a little self-compassion as we go through today's session. Nothing we're sharing today is intended to make you feel blamed or ashamed or to leave you thinking, I should have known this already. Most of us, including me, and I'm a physio, right, have simply been working with the information we had at the time. The science around persistent pain has evolved enormously over the last couple of decades, and we're still learning more every year. So, our goal today is simply to share what the current evidence tells us and to explore whether it offers a different way of understanding your pain. And if you've been on this road for a while, you've probably had your hopes lifted and dropped more than once. So I'm not going to ask you to feel hopeful today. All I ask is that you stay open. That's it. Just open to the possibility that something you hear today might help make better sense of your experience.
Yeah, brilliant. Open and curious. I
Totally.
often say that curiosity is the antidote to fear.
Oh, I
And
love that one. Mm.
as we'll be discussing, right, when it comes to being stuck in that pain loop, fear really keeps us there. So let's just treat this as a little experiment. Be open and curious. And let's dive into it. Today, we're going to cover 4 things: the common back pain diagnoses people get and what they really mean, signs you should get checked by the doctor, everyday things that you are doing to protect your back that might actually keep you stuck and the pain persisting. And then, of course, the thing everyone wants to know, which is the strategies backed by science that actually do help. So, Kelly, I want to start with something that really scared me the most, and that was my x-rays. I was told I had degeneration in my spine, and that word degeneration, it just sounded like my back was going to get worse and worse, and it was all downhill from here. So, can you tell us if a scan shows degeneration, does that mean pain will just keep getting worse?
Andy, that's such a normal fear. And honestly, the language we use can be really frightening. Words like you said degeneration, disc bulge, disc herniation, arthritis, wear and tear all sound like damage. They make it seem like something is broken or wearing out. And here's the myth busting. Scans rarely show us the cause of back pain. Let's look at what the research actually tells us. Researchers reviewed the scans of the spine scans of more than 2,000 people between the ages of 20 and 80, and many of them had these exact findings. Around 40% of people in their 20s had disc degeneration on their scans, and by their 50s, it had increased to around 80%. Disc bulges were also incredibly common, around 30% in people in their 20s, increasing to around 60% by their 50s.
Hmm. Okay, so these findings sounds like they're pretty common for them to just show up on a scan of your back.
Yeah, but here's the part that gets me every time. So these people, these weren't people who'd gone looking for answers about back pain. They were people without back pain. Just let that sink in for a second. And yet many of them had degeneration, bulges, and all the other things that sound so scary on a scan. Most had no idea those changes were even there.
So, this research shows us that you can have a scary looking and a scary sounding scan and no back pain at all.
Exactly. And you can have debilitating pain and a completely clean scan. I've seen it in clinical practice so many times. The two just don't line up the way we were taught. There's an orthopedic surgeon, Professor Ian Harris, who puts it plainly. He said, plenty of people with bulging discs have no back pain, and plenty of people with severe back pain have no bulging discs. So the connection isn't nearly as tight as we assumed.
Hmm. So, then what is degeneration?
Okay, so I love how our program describes it. I want you to think about your face. Okay, as you get older, you get wrinkles, lines from smiling, lines from frowning. I've got a good one coming in right there. Lines from a life lived. Right? Nobody looks at wrinkles and panics that their face is falling apart. They're just signs of the years. And so degeneration in your spine is a lot like that. They're the wrinkles on the inside. Your spine is one of the strongest and most adaptable structures in your body. It's designed to bend, to twist, to lift and carry and keep you moving throughout your life. And just like the rest of your body, it naturally changes over time. Those changes are a normal part of being human. They're not a sign that your spine is worn out, broken, or damaged. They're simply part of a healthy spine that's being used. And these are normal age-related changes that many people have without pain. And that's just, it's such an important distinction. I'm not saying that's what's on your, that what's on your scans means nothing. Sometimes it can be part of the picture. It's just rarely the whole picture.
Hmm.
So what explains the rest? You
Of
know?
course, that's the million-dollar question, right? And that was the thing that kept me searching through doctors and specialists. All I wanted to know from these people was where was my pain coming from?
Your nervous system, right? Because pain is your body's protective system. Think about touching a hot stove. Sensors in your skin detect the heat. They fire a message up to your brain. Your brain decides this is dangerous and produces pain. Ouch! Oh, so you pull your hand away. That's pain doing its job. It's protecting you, and thank you, brain. Thanks for protecting
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. So pain is basically an alarm.
A brilliant alarm, but here's what can happen with persisting pain. Sometimes that alarm becomes overprotective. It keeps firing even after an injury has healed. So I like to think of it that 90s household smoke detector going off with the burnt toast instead of a household fire. I know everybody used to have one of those. I had one, and I had that tea towel ready, and then somebody had to get up onto the chair and wave it vigorously because you couldn't do it from, just from like being down on the ground. Everyone had one of those, right? So even when nothing dangerous is going on, like the alarm will keep firing, and the alarm gets better and faster at producing pain. Scientists often describe this process as central sensitization. So, another way our program explains it is borrowed from pain researcher Dr. Daniel Clow. Imagine an electric guitar. So, to make it louder, you can either, you can strum the strings harder, or you can turn up the amplifier. So a fresh injury is like, strumming hard. But chronic pain is like the amplifier being turned up too high. Imagine like barely brushing one guitar string, kind of, just lightly touching. But because the amplifier is turned up all the way, turned it all the way up, it sounds deafening. So another thing we could think about is like think about a normal movement, like picking up a pen from the floor, a small thing. But if the amp is cranked right up, it can feel excruciating. That pen, oh, the amount of people that I've had come into clinic and they blame that pen, you
That
know,
pen.
that pen.
And this understanding for me actually was something that helped make things really clear. My pain being really bad didn't mean the damage was really bad. So for a long time, I thought that that was a linear relationship. More pain, more damage, right? Must be something quite broken in there because the pain was debilitating, excruciating. But really, it was the fact that my nervous system's amplifier was turned up.
And I think that's actually reassuring because if persistent pain is being driven more by an overprotective nervous system than by ongoing damage, then the amplifier can be turned back down. And that's not wishful thinking. It's backed by decades of pain science. And it's exactly what the rest of today's session is about.
Yeah. And before we dive in and address those back pain solutions, we're going to talk just for a few minutes about another question. I know that hearing that pain doesn't always mean damage can bring that sense of relief, but for some people it can you can still be a little bit worried and like, how do I know that my pain isn't something more serious? So, can you talk to that for a bit?
Yeah, and it's a fair question, right? And it's an important one because peace of mind can be the first step towards recovery. Worry keeps your muscles tense and your nervous system on high alert, which, as we'll talk about, can actually turn the pain dial up. So, getting clarity really matters. There are a handful of things we call red flags. So, these are signs that it's worth a conversation with your doctor, not to alarm you, just to be sure nothing's missed. Now, these are rare, okay, but they're important to know about. If you suddenly have trouble passing urine, so you lose control of your bladder and bowels, develop numbness around your groin or saddle area, or your legs suddenly become weak and it's difficult to stand or walk, you should seek immediate medical attention. All right. And the same applies if you develop severe back pain with us after a serious accident, such as a bad fall or car crash. Please don't wait. Go and see your doctor or attend the emergency department. But there are also some signs that aren't usually emergencies, but are definitely worth discussing with your doctor or another healthcare professional. So these include losing a significant amount of weight without trying, having a history of cancer, developing an unexplained fever along with your back pain, pain that's severe at night and doesn't settle, or worsening numbness, tingling, or weakness in your leg. It's also worth getting checked if your back is very stiff for more than half an hour every morning as well, as this can sometimes point to a different type of back condition that benefits from early assessment and treatment.
Yeah. And what if none of these apply?
That's genuinely good news. We take a breath, right? It means your pain, as real and as awful as it is unlikely to be something that requires urgent medical attention. And that's an important piece of reassurance. It means you can begin rebuilding confidence in your body. It's safe to move. It's safe to gradually start getting back to the things you enjoy.
Yeah, and I still remember how much lighter I felt when my physio explained these red flags to me. It was a moment I realized my back wasn't damaged, weak, or fragile, and I could stop fearing every little niggle and start trusting my body again. And as my confidence grew, I moved more freely. I was able to say yes to more things, and I gradually stopped bracing against every movement. And, recovery didn't just give me more movement, it gave me more life. It gave me back.
Oh, see, you are not fragile in any sense of the word, my dear friend Mandy. Our bodies are remarkably adaptable. They're designed to move, recover, and heal. So, but if we bring it back to sort of what we were discussing before, the red flags, they don't mean that there's something serious, definitely seriously wrong. Sorry, they don't mean that there's definitely something seriously wrong, I should say. They simply tell us it's worth getting things checked just to be safe. And if you don't have any of those red flags, that's genuinely reassuring. It means you can move forward with confidence, knowing it's safe to move, safe to start getting back to the things you enjoy, and safe to trust your body again. Gentle movement isn't just safe for most people, it's one of the most powerful ways we help both the body and the nervous system recover.
Yeah. So now we're going to look at something really important. It's the things we often do with the best intentions that actually accidentally keep that alarm switched on. So for me, that looked like bracing my body, avoiding activities because I was really scared that I'd flare up my pain. It meant giving up on doing some of the things that I loved. It meant checking every new sensation. I was constantly trying to fix or figure out or prevent my pain in some way. And I genuinely thought that I was helping myself. So, yeah, Kelly, can you maybe explain, like, why are these behaviors understandable and sometimes often not helpful?
Because every one of those things you just mentioned makes perfect sense, right? Like, especially when you've had an injury. If you've sprained your ankle or broken a bone, resting and protecting it is exactly the right thing to do while it heals. The problem is when that same strategy continues long after the tissues have healed and the pain has become persistent. And Mandy, I completely relate to what you're describing. Like pain can be it can become all consuming. It can start to shape your identity. When you stop doing the things you love, you lose confidence, your world gets smaller and your quality of life suffers. And that's exactly the cycle we want to help people break. So remember that overprotective alarm, we talked about earlier. Every time you avoid a movement, brace your muscles, or treat every sensation as a sign of danger, you're sending your nervous system the same message. This isn't safe. And your nervous system listens. It learns to become more protective, not less.
Yeah, so all those things I was doing to feel safe were actually teaching my body it wasn't safe.
Yeah, exactly. In the short term, rest and avoidance can feel reassuring. But when they continue long after the body has healed, they often keep the alarm switched on. You move less, your body becomes less conditioned, your confidence starts to shrink, and everyday movements start to feel and begin and start to feel harder. And that's not because your back is becoming more damaged, but because your nervous system has become more protective. And that's how that pain cycle keeps going. And that's why one of the most important ideas in pain recovery is this, and we mentioned it before. Hurt doesn't always mean harm, or not all pain means damage. Feeling pain when you move doesn't automatically mean you're causing damage. Once you begin to understand that and you've ruled out anything serious, movement stops feeling like something to fear. You can be sore and still be safe.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's probably a good time to pause because we've been talking about myth busting and we're going to shift from that sense of danger to a sense of safety. So let's start off the right way and just pause for a moment and take a deep breath.
Breathing. It's good to check in.
Yeah, just check in. How does it feel having taken a deep breath? Let's get into those science backed tools for recovery.
Okay. So the goal with everything we're about to cover is we want to turn that pain dial, the pain amplifier back down. And we can do that from two directions. Some strategies help calm the nervous system from the mind side, and others help rebuild confidence through the body. Together, they help teach your brain that you're safe. So, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about somatic tracking. So, this one's counterintuitive. So, stay with me, everyone. Stay with me. We're doing this. Normally, when we're in pain, we do everything to escape it. We tense up, distract, fight it. Somatic tracking is the opposite. You gently turn your attention towards the sensation with curiosity from a place of calm, and you remind yourself that it's safe. There's a wonderful clinician, Alan Gordon, who says to approach pain like you're a passenger in a car. You're not gripping the wheel trying to control it. You're simply noticing and noticing what's happening with gentle curiosity. All right, it's dull now, and oh, now it's sharper. Okay, now it's moved. Oh, it's near my foot. Where'd that go? No judgment, no fighting it, no trying to make it go away. He compares it to the way like a pet rabbit might check out someone new in the room, curious but relaxed, interested but not alarmed, and that's the mindset we're aiming for.
Yeah, and I remember when I first heard about somatic tracking, I thought, there is no way that can help. But I was curious enough to try it. And what surprised me was that I was actually able to meet my pain with curiosity instead of fear. And by doing that, I was teaching my brain that their sensations were safe. And over time, that connection grew stronger. Okay, I can feel these sensations, normal, natural sensations. They're not dangerous. How interesting. And then, the fear and the alarm gradually quietened, and I genuinely felt the difference.
And your reaction, can I say, is the same that a lot of our clients have. There, what is this? What is this? No, totally no, not going to work. But that's exactly what's happening. Every time you experience pain, but respond with calm instead of fear, you're giving your brain a new piece of evidence. I'm okay. This isn't dangerous. We call that a corrective experience. Like with any new habit and skill, it takes repetition and time. So you don't start when your pain is at a 9 or a 10. You practice when it's mild or moderate because that's when your brain is most ready to learn.
Yeah. And so, what's next?
So this one flips a belief most of us grew up with. We're often told the body is like a machine that wears out with use, that it's all wear and tear. But your body isn't a machine. Machines wear out, bodies adapt. I'll let that one sizzle. Bodies adapt, machines wear
Mm.
out, bodies adapt. The more you use your body in a gradual, appropriate way, the more it responds by becoming stronger and more capable. We call this being anti-fragile. It's not just wear and tear, it's wear and repair. So there was a fascinating study that followed ultramarathon runners over thousands of kilometers, scanning their knees throughout the event. And most people assumed that all the running would wear the joints out, but the scans found something really interesting. Their knee cartilage showed signs of adapting and becoming healthier during the race. And that's what our bodies are designed to do. Bones become denser when we load them. We know that with osteoporosis, resistance
Mm.
training. Muscles become stronger when we challenge them, DOMS.
Mhm.
Tendons adapt over time with gradual loading. Joints stay healthier when they move because movement helps nourish the cartilage and circulate joint fluid. Your body responds to the demands you place on it. And that's why we often say motion is lotion. Motion is lotion. Love
Love that
it.
one.
Yeah, movement isn't something your body simply tolerates, it's something it needs.
Mm. Which is exactly the opposite approach that I had tried for many years, which was protect and keep still, which, and rest, which is when I realized that this was actually deconditioning my body. It was making me weaker. So now I like to think of movement more from this lens of use it or lose it. And that keeps me moving and makes me stronger.
And Mandy, like we said before, that's such a common response, right? We instinctively want to protect the part that hurts. But this brings us to our next strategy, graded movement instead of rest. You don't have to wait for the pain to disappear before you start moving. In fact, for a lot of people with persistent pain, that's what keeps them stuck. Instead, you start where you are today. You find a level of movement that feels manageable, and then you build from there, little by little. We like to call it finding your therapeutic sweet spot or zone, so to speak. So it's enough movement to gently challenge your body and help it become stronger and more confident, but not so much that you overwhelm your nervous system and trigger a big alarm response or a flare. It's not about pushing through pain, and it's not about avoiding movement altogether. It's about finding that middle ground and progressing gradually. Slow and steady really does win here. Every walk, every attempt at a stretch, every movement is another opportunity to teach your nervous system, I'm safe, my body is capable, I got this, I can do this, you know?
Yeah, and this was huge for me, actually learning about a pacing approach, rather than my gung-ho normal approach of like get into everything when I'm feeling good and then crash and burn a day later. I started to find that sweet spot that you were talking about, just a little bit of movement, starting really small, and whether that was a type of movement or getting back into activities that I really enjoyed, socializing, work, even just household chores, I could slowly build up from there, take intentional rests, but I kept moving. I kept progressing. And this is basically the approach that helped me return to the stuff I really wanted to do, like long bushwalks with the family. It even helped me start running. And, believe it or not, I started that with just a 5 minute walk. So, let's not discount it. It took a long time.
But you did it, right? Like epic. And that's exactly the point. 5 minute walk to back to running. You didn't just wake up one morning and start running again. Whether you live with pain or not, we all need to train. Like if I woke up tomorrow and decided to run a marathon, could I do it? No, with zero capacity because I'm a walker, I'm not a runner. But, I would need to wake up and train if I did for some reason choose to do a marathon, and build up safely and slowly. You built
Mm.
confidence, tissue tolerance, physical capacity, one safe step at a time. And that's how the nervous system learns. That's how the body adapts.
Yeah. And so we've been talking about a strategy around moving the body, but we also know there's many, many ways we might be giving our nervous system that sense of danger or threat. So ways that we can keep that alarm or that amplifier whirring away, firing. So let's talk now a little bit about what else might be playing a role here.
So, one of the things I love teaching people is the idea of a pain recipe. So, think of all the little ingredients that can quietly turn your amplifier up. Maybe it's a few back-to-back nights of poor sleep. Maybe work has been really stressful. Your diet is in the absolute gutter. You haven't seen your friends for a really long time. Maybe you're worrying a lot more about what's going on in life or your pain, or you just generally have not been moving much. And for someone else, their recipe will look completely different. And this is why no two people's recovery is exactly the same. Pain is personal, and so is your recipe. But the good news is that once you understand your own individual recipe, you can start changing the ingredients. Remove some things, throw some things in here. Remove one things, add some more little sprinkles. Maybe it is, maybe I will go to bed a bit earlier tonight instead of doom scrolling on my phone. Maybe it's I'll eat that leafy green salad. Do you know what? I'm totally going to call my bestie. I've not spoken to her for such a long time. We have the best chats. Oh, I always feel so good when I speak to her. And one of the biggest ingredients as well in many people's pain recipe is actually the way we talk to ourselves. We call that your pain voice. It's that critical inner voice that says, you'll never get better. You can't do that anymore. You're useless, And when you notice it, and you even give it a name, you create a little distance from it and you start to see those thoughts for what they are. Thoughts are thoughts, not facts. It's just the alarm talking.
Yeah, and this one helped me so much. I mean, I'll probably say that for all of the things we talk about, but that pain voice for me was relentless and so critical and, kept me stuck in this battle with my pain, trying to fix it, always avoiding it, and sending so much fear and intensity and pressure to this system, which is just reinforcing danger again and again. And to be honest, my pain voice, she just made me feel like I was failing at everything. But noticing that and naming it meant it became something I could then argue with, I could
Mm.
challenge. And instead of just, following, believing, going along with what she was saying, I was, also able to recognize that there's a real clear link. When she started getting in my ear, my pain would just start shooting up.
I'm curious. You said she, you named her. What was you totally
Yeah.
named her, didn't you? What was her name? What was her name, Mandy?
Her name was Prue,
Oh,
and she was also perfect Prue.
oh, of course
She
she was.
was quite a, oh, what can I, it's a family show. Let's just say she was very unkind.
Perfect Prue, be gone, Prue.
Yeah.
See you
Yeah.
later, Prue.
I also had another sort of dominant variation of the pain voice, which was more of a warrior. Her name was Planning Patricia,
Oh, I
and
love all the
and she
P's.
actually she's probably a good segue because that's what we're going to talk about next, right? Planning, the flare up
Oh,
plan.
yes.
Um, Yes. So, we can talk about real life, I think, now, because we know that you can have all of these ideas and strategies. You can be doing all the right things. Recovery can just be chugging along, and then life happens. Life throws us a curveball. So perhaps it might be helpful for people if we just touch on what can we do about setbacks and flare-ups.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're talking about this one and you've brought it up because this can be a complete game changer. So, first of all, flare-ups are normal. They don't mean you've gone backwards and they don't mean you've re-injured yourself. A flare-up is your alarm system becoming overprotective again. The challenge is that when a flare hits, most of us panic. We stop moving, we brace, we cancel plans, we start wondering, like, what have I done? Oh my gosh, what have I done? I'm coming on, like, all of these things, the thoughts come flying through. And before we know it, we're feeding that overprotective alarm all over again. And that's why I encourage people to create a flare up plan before they actually need it. Write it down when you're having a better day. So you're not trying to think clearly when your nervous system is in high alert. It can be as simple as a list of things that help you feel safe, calm, and supported. Reminding yourself this will pass. Keep gently moving within what's feeling manageable on the day and during that time. And having that plan can make all the difference in helping you stay on track. Now, Mandy, I know it's actually quite a personal thing to ask someone, what's their flare up plan, but would you mind sharing, if you don't mind, sharing a little bit about what's on your flare up plan? And maybe I'll share some of mine afterwards. I feel like it's a sharing
Yeah.
place. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I have a flare up plan. It's on my wall, and it just lists some things that I've figured out from my pain recipe, things that are helpful ingredients.
Mhm.
And I have it on my wall because, as we know, in a flare up, the brain can get a bit mushy, so it's just there, something I can go to and just check a box. And there's some calming, soothing activities like meditation, and especially one of my favorites in a flare is a self-compassion practice, like, oh, this hurts, and I've also got things like have a bath, do some journaling, but some active ones too, like stretching, walking, asking for help. And I've included in my flare up plan some phrases that I want to be reminded of. Like you said, this will pass, or reminding myself that it's my nervous system trying to protect me, but going a bit overboard. And another thing for me that's really important is to notice when or if I'm dropping back into some of those unhelpful things, the parts of the pain recipe that will dial up pain, things like resting too much or bracing or over worrying. And yeah, when that happens, I just remind myself, oh, that's okay. This is default programming. We've got an updated script now. We can change the story. And I just remind myself, this is, you're sore, but you're safe.
Oh, so it's safe. is my favorite.
It's the
It lives
best.
freely in my mind all day. And some of, or I guess some of my ones as well for my flare plan is,
Mm.
gentle stretches, sort of like we were saying, some active things. I get outside and do a small walk in
Mm.
nature. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that just like regulates my nervous system so much. But the other
Mm.
one that I do is I have a Kel's Happy playlist that I listen to all the time. And my husband thinks I'm quite mad. He's like, how can you just listen to the same songs over and over and over again? And I'm like, because these songs just bring out my happy. They tap into those feel good hormones, the endorphins. They remind me of happy times and memories, and they're
Mm.
my safety. So yeah.
Mm.
Well, I was
Love
gonna,
that.
we'll bring it back, but like, everyone here right now, you've probably noticed the thread running through everything we've talked about today. So somatic tracking, understanding your pain recipe, quietening your pain voice, rated movement, having a flare-up plan. So none of these strategies are about fixing a damaged back.
Mm.
They're all about helping an overprotective nervous system feel safe again. The goal isn't necessarily to never have pain again. The goal is to stop pain running your life. And that's what recovery actually is.
Yeah, so true. And it's learning to feel safe again. For me, that was recognizing what I was doing that was contributing to that sense of danger, amping things up, and figuring out that I could also choose to do the things that were helpful. And that doing that slowly built my sense of trust in my body again, helped me build confidence, helped me feel safe. And, slowly, didn't happen overnight, but slowly my world got bigger. I gradually got back into life the way I wanted to live it. And that's why I know through my own experience, recovery from chronic back pain is possible.
That's exactly right, man. Your recovery, it isn't usually a straight line, it's non-linear. And success isn't measured only by pain. It's measured by getting back to the people, the places and activities that make life feel like yours again. Walking the dog, gardening, picking up your kids or your grandkids, sitting through a movie, sharing dinner with friends and not having to walk around. Like, this is living your life.
Yeah, it's so true. And, also knowing this is one thing, right? Putting it into practice, especially on those harder days, that can be another story.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we created More Good Days to bring together the science, the practical tools, and support of a team who understands persistent pain. So you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Yeah. And we just wanted to let you know as well that our 8-week chronic back pain recovery program is available to eligible Bupa members at no extra cost. So you can visit our website to check out if you're eligible. And let's just, go back to the beginning. We began today by asking you to be open and curious. And if you're still here right at the end, amazing. You've probably done that, right? And maybe this session has challenged some old beliefs or sparked some questions. And that's a really fantastic place to start. Curiosity. So if you have questions about anything we've discussed or would like more information about the More Good Days program, we'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to email us at hello@moregooddays.com. So thank you so much for spending time with us. And I want to leave you with this message because I know it's true. Recovery doesn't happen all at once. It happens one step, one movement, one choice, one day at a time.
So wherever you are today, start where you are. Be curious, be kind to yourself, keep moving forward, and your story is still being written. So take care of yourselves. Thank you, and bye.
Bye for now.